Wolf of Roto Street here to break down the Antonio Brown to Raiders fantasy fallout, why he remains a top 5 wide receiver and fringe first rounder in this fantasy stock alert. So late Saturday night, the Raiders sent the Steelers a 3rd and 5th round pick to acquire arguably the best wide receiver in the game right now and one of the best to ever play the game. Now, yes, there's been these antics off the field, the character question marks. He quit on his team last year, the blonde mustache. But where there's no question marks is Antonio Brown's on-field talent. He has the league best route running, glue-like hands, insane acceleration, ridiculous body control, essentially everything you want out of your true number 1 wide receiver. His talent remains a perfect 30 out of 30 on our fantasy stock formula. There's no questioning that. So usage-wise, you might expect his score to drop a bit going from the pass-happy, aggressive Steelers to what looks like an ugly, run-heavy Raiders team, but that might not be the case. Now, yes, he was bathed in targets while with the Steelers, averaging 171 targets since 2013 when he became a starter. Ridiculous numbers. But the volume actually hasn't been far off for Jon Gruden's wide receiver ones. Prior to last year's debacle with the Amari Cooper trade and no one else there, Seth Roberts, Jordy Nelson, disgusting. But prior to last year's debacle, 11 out of 11, yes, 100% of Jon Gruden's wide receiver ones went for 1,000 yards or more. 4 of those 7 guys set their career bests under Chucky. He likes to move his top guy around, kind of make a main vein, he likes to call it, out of their game, passing game, pepper them relentlessly, something he's going to do with one of the league's best. In fact, listen to what Gruden commented on Antonio Brown before last season's Week 13 matchup.
He can run every route you can dream up. I know I say that about other receivers, but he can run double moves, he can run by you, he can run crossing routes. He's very good after the catch. But what's the greatest thing about this man is I've told all our receivers, if you get a chance to watch him practice, you'll see what unlocks the greatness in him. He's the hardest working man, I think, in football. Hardest working player I've ever seen practice.
This guy clearly loves Antonio Brown. He's not going to want to look dumb for trading for him. He's going to pepper him like his wide receiver ones of the past. This scheme remains near perfect at 14 out of 15. No drop off there. So surrounding talent is where we inarguably take a hit here. Yes, Big Ben, he's a Hall of Famer potentially in the future. He's always willing to sling it deep, let Antonio Brown do his thing. And as much hatred as there was off the field, they had the on-field chemistry that was just simply beautiful. Derek Carr, clear downgrade, but how steep might be over-exaggerated these days. Remember, it was only a few seasons ago. Carr was the next bright star, young rising, MVP even, consideration when he was tossing for nearly 4,000 yards, 32 TDs. He was the next big thing. Yeah, he's had a couple lackluster years, but last year sneakily set career bests in completion percentage and yardage under Jon Gruden with 68.9%, 4,049 yards. The 19 touchdowns were pathetic. Paltry made him disgusting in fantasy. You didn't want to use him, but that should be forgiven. Look at what he was throwing to. Complete garbage. So to set those career bests with no one to throw to is very impressive. The score takes a hit from 14 to now 12 out of 15. Decent hit, but not over the top. Now, when we assess the risk and the floor, he takes a hit going to Oakland. Whereas there was once no question marks on what Antonio Brown was going to do in a fantasy season. These 2019 offseason struggles, the way he quit on his team, yeah, there's some risk here. Especially going from a solid quarterback to one of the bottom half guys probably in Derek Carr. There's a chance he could combust and quit on his team and have a freak out. He didn't get the targets I want, blah, 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 me. Yeah, that risk is certainly higher than a guy that used to just shut up his mouth, take his lunch pail and go to work. The risk is higher. It takes a hit, goes from a 9 near perfect to now a 7 with that risk in Oakland. Now you consider upside ceiling, that bonus points we give up to 5. When the talent's this generational, you're giving him the 5 out of 5. Every single season, Antonio Brown will be in the conversation for top wide receiver scorer. He's going to see enough volume to potentially threaten for there in Gruden's wide receiver 1 heavy system. Going to be right up there with the elite. So overall, he goes from a near perfect 96 stock score to now grading out as still very good, fringe first rounder 92. And when all is said and done, I project Antonio Brown to have 115 catches, 16-ish 100 yards, 12-ish TDs. I think he's going to have another monster season with a lower floor now of maybe 1,100 yards and 8 TDs, but with no one else around him, that floor remains high, and I think he still goes and balls out as his usual wide receiver 1 self.